So you've got this fitness journey that you've been on. Maybe you've even lost a few pounds. You've been eating better, yet you feel like your partner or spouse is trying to undermine what you're doing. They're sabotaging your hard work, or is it just in your head? I'm going to give you 2 questions to think about to help you figure out if your partner really is trying to sabotage your fitness goals. Yeah, I get it. Look, I've been there. I've struggled with trying to stay on the right path. And it is difficult to do that when you have somebody in your life and you're not entirely sure that they're supportive of you. And yes, sometimes those people can be right under the same roof. So how do we know if our significant other is just like making bad decisions or bad choices, or just sort of, has a laid back attitude about fitness and health, which is okay for them, but not okay for you? How do you take that and compare that to a person who you may feel like really does have some issues with what you're trying to do? You're concerned that maybe they don't have your best interest at heart. And even if it's not motivated by their own sort of self-interest or self-esteem issues, it's having a negative impact on your ability to take care of yourself. I'm going to talk about 2 questions here, and this is going to be a little bit difficult because a lot of times you do have people in your lives who may love you dearly, but some of the choices that they make impact the choices that you make, or just make it harder for you to be able to do the things you want to do. So 2 questions. Let me jump right in, especially with this first one, because I think the first one really matters. And that is, have you actually shared those fitness and health goals with your significant other? And I think I'm just going to call them SO going forward, just to keep this short. But really and truly, sometimes we think we have been very clear about what our intentions are, what's motivating us, what our goals are, what we hope to accomplish, and how we're going to do that. And we think we've laid it out very clearly for the other party so that they can understand. And you'll say, hey, here are what my expectations are, here's what I'm trying to do. But did you really and truly make it very clear to them? You could have been saying some things in passing, like, you know what, I think I'm going to try to drink some more water. I'm going to try to drink more water every day. Or you know what? My aunt's been really sick. We've had diabetes that runs in our family. I'm going to try to really sort of, start looking at my sugar intake. Or you know what? I know I don't have my mix of macros right. I'm going to start looking at my carbs and cutting those down a bit. You may state that to your SO, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they understand how committed you are to that. If it's just a statement in passing, if you've done this before and there hasn't been any significant commitment on your part, then they might not really hear it. It's like they saw you say it, and yeah, there was some noise out there in the air, but it really didn't sink in that you were really doing this, that this was actually a health and fitness goal for you. And so if they don't know it, then they probably can't intentionally sabotage what you're trying to do. They don't really, say, I'm gonna make sure she doesn't meet those goals. That's not what it's about. It's usually that they just don't understand that this is your level of commitment and this is what they're doing. They haven't received the communication that you've put out there. So that's question number 1. That's question number 1. Do they really know that you have these health and fitness goals? Okay, so question number 2. Now we're supposing that yes, you did in fact share some goals with them. You actually told them. Question number 2 has to do with less about them actually getting the message than whether or not the message was really meaningful. In other words, were you really committed to it? So if you tell your SO, hey, yes, I'm going to cut out sugar, here's what I'm going to be doing, here's my timeline, here's some other things I'm going to be focusing on to help me stay on track. and then every day you come home with a candy bar or some gum or you're baking cakes. They are getting mixed messages here. They're not sure what you're doing because you're saying one thing and then you're doing something else. So if you haven't committed to yourself, you can't really expect them to commit to you either. You have to be there first before you can sort of hang this out there on them and say, well, you know what? I really did try to do this, but my SO did not. He came home with cookies and candy and cakes and pies and all sorts of things, and he's just trying to sabotage me, and he's just trying to do me in because he's jealous, and I've already lost a little bit of weight and I'm looking good, and I'm really on this path and he's just not there. Okay, so it's really probably not just about him. You probably have not sent this message to him that says, I am fully committed to this. And so once he understands, or she understands, that you're fully committed to it, that this is not just some sort of fad, it's not a phase you're going through, it's not the latest diet, but they really and truly understand what your motivation is, and that you yourself have committed to it, then they can get behind you. But really, don't expect them to do all of the hard work if you're not doing the hard work yourself. And I have one final special tip just for you in this video. Now, suppose you did in fact communicate your fitness and health goals to your SO, and you did in fact commit to them. You had goals up on the refrigerator. You were tracking what you were eating. You had an app so that you were able to record all of your meals. You joined a gym and you've been going regularly, at least 4 or 5 times every week for like the last 3 months. And so you really have committed to it, and you communicated that to your partner. And yet you still feel like your partner is doing some things that, are not in your best interest when it comes to you meeting your health and fitness goals. Then what do you do? So let me talk about that for a second, because I think that's probably one of the hardest situations you can be in, when you feel like you're really making some changes in your life, but this other person that you truly love is maybe not on the same pathway with you. My answer to that is okay. Your partner does not have to be on the exact same path that you're on, as long as you are going in the same direction. Okay? So what you don't want is somebody who's going off in a totally different direction that is impacting really who you are in a way where you have entirely no control. In this scenario where you're saying I've communicated it and I'm committed to it, guess what? You're still doing it. So you're still achieving. You've got your goals on the refrigerator. You're tracking what you're eating. You're getting into the gym and you're getting your workout in. So your partner hasn't necessarily impacted your ability to stay on track and get it done. So there is some sort of common ground in that relationship that says you're still both headed in the same pathway. If what your partner was doing was so bad, you probably wouldn't feel like going to the gym. You'd probably start being depressed because you feel like, oh my God, my partner's like totally doing me in. What is more likely going on is that your partner just doesn't have the same level of interest in health and fitness as you do. And that is okay. Again, you can be on 2 different paths as long as you're headed in the same direction. So take those 2 questions and that last tip to sort of figure out whether or not you've got some issues with your partner or your significant other regarding your health and fitness goals. And if you are, use that last tip. If there are still significant issues, then it's time to sit down and have a loving conversation about how to get back on that direction, that one direction. And if you like this video and you want to stay tuned for more videos about how to maintain a healthy and fit lifestyle in that initial relationship phase where you're likely to gain 36 pounds or 17 pounds in the first year, definitely follow me, because I'm going to be giving you more tips and strategies. We're going to be going through this together. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and we're going to do this together so that you can stay away from those 36 pounds and those 17 pounds in the first year, and maybe we can keep your partner off that track too.